Hello everyone. In this episode, we're going to break down the new Marvel special, Werewolf by Night. Jumping right in, we see a new intro. It starts off as the classic comic book one, but quickly changes into black and white with multiple claw marks cutting through. At the end, we can see Frankenstein-styled electricity surging through the logo, all to hype you up before watching. The special itself opens with the original 6 Avengers, referring to them as both heroes and marvels. Wink wink. We're then introduced to the more monstrous side of this universe, immediately seeing depictions of a vampire, a 2-headed mermaid, and even a Sasquatch. This all can be seen in what appears to be a journal or monster guide, supposedly written by or for Ulysses Bloodstone, as he is the man fighting off these creatures. Even the axe he's wielding is the same one stashed in the maze later on, meaning all the weapons used could have belonged to him. He also clearly has a sense of humor considering the animatronic he had made as well as the "this side up" text on the back of his coffin. We're introduced to the main character of the story, Jack Russell, which is also our first hint that he's not all that he appears to be when thinking about the dog breed. Interestingly enough, one of the pieces of art in the hallway is of Gore the God Butcher, who just appeared in Thor: Love and Thunder, and is taken straight out of the comics. I wonder if this could hint at some of the monsters that were hunted could have actually been aliens by mistake. Another mystery is what kind of guards are there, considering it's never brought up. I really like the theory that they're a part of the TVA, possibly the Nightmare Division that Mobius brought up in the Loki show. Maybe everything we see is taking place in some kind of alternate timeline or time period. Or, considering how the Bloodstone gives off some Reality Stone vibes or chaos magic, maybe it's even a pocket reality similar to the Hex in WandaVision. And not to mention, it does have some similarities to the Shadow Realm, which was also just in Thor: Love and Thunder. So it's really hard to say where and when this all is taking place. In the comics, the Bloodstone was an alien blood gem that came within a meteorite similar to vibranium in Wakanda. So this story is a little bit different. Immediately, the older film reel effects can be seen, further setting the tone of this classic story and adding to the overall atmosphere. One thing I'm really glad about is how Jack doesn't become some huge CGI figure. He keeps a similar stature to his human form, which in a way almost keeps it, more realistic, especially when we have a different huge CGI monster in the special. But as the story progresses and we meet all of the monster hunters, the action quickly begins and, man, is it brutal. Especially for Marvel. There's literally blood squirting around and don't get me started on the arrow in the man's mouth. I gotta say, it's about time we see Marvel branch out into new genres and I'm proud of them. Hopefully this paves the way to more wild projects and isn't just some kind of one-off thing. To make everything even crazier, we meet one of the more obscure characters named Man-Thing. Originally a man named Ted Sallis, he was a scientist working on making a super soldier serum. When things started to go south, he took the serum right before crashing into a swamp. In typical comic book fashion, the swamp was actually an interdimensional rift that transformed him with new abilities. The main one we see is being able to burn those who feel fear. This turns out to be the monster everyone is hunting, including Jack, except to rescue him. We've actually seen Man-Thing back in Thor Ragnarok as one of the champions of Sakaar, but it's kind of hard to say whether that was before or after the special though, and how he even got there. Then we get to see some interactions between Jack and Elsa Bloodstone, as they connect over being more than just simple hunters like the rest, as she wants the Bloodstone for herself so no one can use it. When she was first introduced this episode, it was pretty clear to see that she did not want any part of any of this monster hunting. As they talk, many of the names on the coffins around them are references to people related to Man-Thing or Marvel in general. Probably my favorite part of this whole special are the slight nods to Jack being a werewolf, like in the scene when he spins just like a dog before sitting next to Elsa. Besides, of course, the fact that the caption says things like Ted snarls when referring to Man-Thing. Another reference to the original 6 Avengers comes in the framing of Man-Thing running behind Elsa as they finally begin their escape. Considering it matches the scene of Hulk chasing after Natasha in the first Avengers film. Once Jack and Elsa are captured, we see more example of Jack's other half as he scratches his ear rapidly like a dog, and then more obviously sniffs Elsa up and down. This can also be compared to the Hulk, as Jack doesn't have full control over the other side of him. So next time we see these characters, it'll probably be on a journey to gain that full control. Maybe some more evidence that these are actually TVA agents, besides the similar armor and weapons, could be how one of them walks into frame right as the stepmother is explaining who they are and what their purpose is, possibly explaining the goal of the Nightmare Division. But no matter where or when this takes place, you can't deny how great the long hallway sequence is, with the surprising amount of blood, even on the lens. And the way Jack appears for the first time as the werewolf was also just so good, because it added to the horror aspect, with the way you couldn't see him in the top left corner until his eyes are really glowing, and then he starts to attack. As things begin to calm down after Jack's brutal episode, with every guard and hunter gone, Man-Thing returns with a grunt that sounds a lot like the word okay to Elsa telling him where to find Jack. That just cracked me and my girlfriend up, even though it was so simple. Following this, Somewhere Over the Rainbow begins to play as colors start to fill the world and we can finally see everyone in their true colors. At their campsite, it seems like Jack and Man-Thing have been friends for quite a while. Even having a mug with a sunflower on it for Jack that matches the one on Man-Thing's shoulder. One of his abilities is teleportation, so he may have found Jack in werewolf form and teleported them both there rather than traveling the whole way, because I can't imagine they'd set up a camp that close to monster hunters. I'm bringing this up as well because it might explain all the other random items laying about, depending on if the portals drew them in or if Man-Thing decided to take them. Ending this quick little special is a classic "The End" across the screen. Just like in The Wizard of Oz, which this special actually took a lot of inspiration from. Oh, and one other thing I may have noticed while watching was a potential QR code on the wall behind Elsa as she walks in for the first time. But it happened so fast, I may have just made it up. So if anyone else knows what I'm talking about, please confirm or deny it. They were all over the place in the other Disney Plus shows, so I may just be used to looking for them. Overall, this special wasn't too crazy, but it was a big step for Marvel. They're finally branching out, and I would definitely watch another one, especially with these characters again. It was a nice, smaller, self-contained story, although I still have a ton of questions. I loved the gruesome fights, plus the film aesthetic actually really worked for me. The casting seemed perfect all around, as well as the CGI. I really can't think of a specific instance where I thought it was off-putting or just bad. I'm glad it throws you right in, and it handled itself really well throughout its whole duration. Sure, I was expecting to see Moon Knight since he first appeared in a Werewolf by Night comic, or even Blade, but I'm not disappointed that they didn't show up. I did hear rumors that Blade was going to make an appearance, but couldn't due to schedule conflicts. I'm not sure how true those were though. And as for other MCU connections, I do wonder if the Bloodstone could be something Kang the Conqueror wants. Just to make himself more powerful, especially against more supernatural beings, now that they're popping up more. But that's everything I found in the Werewolf by Night special. Comment your thoughts below and let me know if there's anything I missed, because I'd love to hear it. And that's that. See ya!